I'm just crazy about fishing, match fishing in particular. I love trying to find out exactly what the fish want, making tiny changes to my approach and trying to find an edge and ultimately winning competitions, because that's what it's all about. I've managed to win some of the sport's biggest competitions. Big competitions like that, you might rely on an element of luck with your draw, but you have to get your tactics absolutely spot on and be 100% confident in what you're doing. Practice and preparation are vital in match fishing, and if you're not well versed on the venue that you're fishing, you're instantly at a disadvantage. Throughout a year, I'll book onto matches on a number of different venues, and in this series, the Matrix cameras are going to follow me around the country as I visit those waters. He's a barbel, all right. Oh, he's done me. During a session, I'll have to do my utmost to work out how to catch the biggest weight of fish possible to help me pick up some cash in any upcoming matches. I'm Weston Thompson, and this is the practice. You on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, rolling?
Yes, mate.
Nearly there. Won't be long now. Things I'm going to do to you. Weston Pools. Weston Pools. Took that long, really. Hour 45. I've heard lots about the place. Lots of my friends have been telling me for years I should be coming over here. Here he is. Nice entrance. Log cabins. Oh, fantastic. Tackle shop. That must be the clubhouse I've been told lots about. This looks nice. Fine young matty doors. We've arrived at Weston Pools in OSWESTRY. OSWESTRY. See, we got it nailed first. Wait, ready? We've arrived at Weston Pools in OSWESTRY. It's the first lake I've come to. On first impressions, if the whole complex is like this, I'm in for a good day. I'm just going to grab me a coffee and have a quick chat with Matty, the bailiff, and get pointed in the right direction. Fantastic place this Weston Pools is. I mean, literally, I've walked around, the facilities are great, I've had a chat with the fishery manager. I mean, there's more fish on the wall in cases than I've seen in some venues over the years. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a little bit of learning on the cheap, as my friend Paul Newell likes to call it. Just log into a bit of social media, check the websites, see exactly what's going on. So I'll flick through the tablet, load it up, and get rid of Tinder. Don't want to be caught using that. So we've got to quickly just log on, bit of match reports, let's see what's happening. Straight away we can see a pattern. There's lots of natural baits been being used on lots of the pools. So there's Stretton, maggot shallow, Stretton, maggot shallow, Belvedere, maggots, dead reds, casters down the edge on canal. So there's a pattern that across the venue natural baits are working well. So I think that's what the approach is going to be. We're going to fish with lots of natural baits. I'll just drop back to when it was a little bit colder, because that should be pellets, and it was. There were more pellets being used. Yeah, so the bait that I've bought, at least it confirms I've bought the right thing. And there's nothing wrong with this. Learning on the cheap is a great way to set your practice session up. You know, for years there's been no information apart from telephones. Got an whole world out here now. Cross-reference the names, jump on Facebook. Most people are friends now in the fishing community. Link over. Don't hurt to drop in a little cheeky message and say, what's happening down there? How are you, mate? What's going on? I can't wait to go and have a chuck, to be fair.
go.
We've arrived on the peg, Belvedere 1. As you can see, fantastic looking fishery, full of features. I've got 2 empty pegs both sides. I've been told that on the matches itself there's always going to be spare pegs. I've got a plant pot, some lilies, but I've been told by the young lad who fishes here a lot, who works in the shop, young Matty Dawes, he's told me that I've probably got around 6 foot out in the lake, 3 foot in the margin, drops off on a sheer ledge, can be quite rocky. But I can't wait to get started, to be honest. I've been walking around and I'm dead excited. So just going to get my gear together and we're going to have a go. Right, we're virtually ready to go and start putting some rigs on. I've had a think about how I'm going to fish the peg. It's not the widest of venues, so it doesn't really lend itself to feeder fishing. Perhaps could fish a waggler, but like I say, it's not the widest. And I was told that in a match situation I would have a couple of spare pegs, so I've got the room either side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for a pole approach, short pole, where I can throw baits. That allows me to control where I can throw baits into a margin, into this margin, short line at about 6 meters, so I can keep control and keep lots of lines active and progressive, so when I want to move, hopefully there'll be some fish there waiting. So you're keeping lots of lines busy, lots of lines alive. In this margin I'm going to fish pellets. The reason I'm going to fish pellets is because I want to find out which is a better bait. Alternatively, this side I'm going to fish casters and maggots. So at the end of the session I'll know when I come back, were pellets better, were maggots and casters better. On a short line, just on the top kit, just down this first slope I've been told about, I'm going to fish hard 6 mils. That's why I bought a pint of 6 mils to the peg. Hopefully that can produce some bigger fish. That's a great line to fish on lots of commercial venues, especially after you've put your nets in. A great start line as well. I do that on lots of venues. Your nets go in, you get that noise, and there's always a few inquisitive carp that pop around that first ledge because they always hang there during the match looking for little bits that bounce out of your top kit when it shakes off your roller. You know, that little toss spot just drops little bits of particles in. They move in and they graze throughout the day. Sometimes you're often fishing a lot further out than you need to be, but there's always a few fish that tend to sit on that ledge. At 6 meters where I'm going to be throwing casters, I'm going to be looking to catch in shallow, and I'm going to have another rig set up on the deck so I can go down and look for more bigger fish. One thing about this practice session, what I've seen from some of the pleasure anglers that are down there, they're all catching a nice size stamp of F1, maybe an Ide, a tench, lots of fish like this. But if I found myself in a situation in the match where I was behind and I needed to find bigger fish, a good thing that I can get out of this session is where those bigger fish are. Are they going to be underneath where I'm fishing shallow? Are they going to be in a margin on either one of those baits on this short line? So hopefully we can find that out. I'm going to get some rigs on now, and then we can get cracking. Right, the keep nets are in. I've fed all the lines, like I said. We've put pellets to the left, top kit in a joint. We've probably got approximately 3 foot of water there. We've put casters and maggots to the right, so I can gauge which bait is better, like I said. I've just gone to top kit that side because I've found the same depth. I've put the line in between the keep nets. That's the one that we're going to start on. I've put another line at approximately 6 metres. With just casters, that's the line that I'm going to just throw casters at, look to catch shallow, pick some bigger fish on the net. I'm dying to start, so let's have a look at the first rig. Dead simple, always like to keep things that way. Series 7, 0.50. Fish it a little bit heavier because I want that pellet to get straight down. 14.5 power micron, down to our 12 power micron. Got a block 6 inches from the hook. Got an 18s rigger, a little tiny band. Dead simple, just going to load it up, see if there's something there, like I said, in between those keep nets, having a mooch around, like there normally is on lots of commercial venues throughout the country. Like I said, they always just hang around, looking for those little bits that drop out of the little feed pots and little bits that drop away from when you put fish back in the net that have been in your landing net. In we go. So that rig's just gone in. We're just going to lower it down nice and steady, present it nice for them. 3 pellets just gone round it. That's one thing you need to be mindful of at this venue. There's a 5-point bait limit. If you like me, I'm quite an aggressive feeder on lots of venues, so if I'm coming back, there you go, there's a fish. If I'm coming back, that's something I've got to do. I've got to try and cut back on how much I'm actually feeding, so just 3 pellets to start it there. I was wondering whether I got the right elastic choice. I put a 10 hollow on for this one. I was told some of the locals fish a 12, but I like fishing at 10s. There's a first fish, F1. Nice one. That's another rule as well. Every fish must be netted at this venue, be it the smallest of roach or fish safety is paramount really. That's the main thing. Pellet's still on the band, in again. Nice and steady, just lower it down. Three pellets. One thing I've noticed about all the weights, lots of them upwards of 100, 150, some 200 pounds. So it must be a lot of close quarters fishing, to be fair. Especially with fish of that size. So ideally you want to be fishing, like I say, off that top kit line, these margins, that short 6 metre line. Just keep throwing casters there, ready for when we're going to fish shallow. So you can keep all your lines ticking over. Just going to keep working that pellet, just inching it along. Just pick up some early fish on this short line. That's the thing, I see lots of anglers just sit around just leaving that pellet. There's another. Ooh. Fishery rules, got to net them. No matter how big. Look at him, ain't he pretty? Tiny little crucian. He look good in a tank. Oh no, don't film that. Don't want to be filming that, Matty. Trying to get down here. He's a barbel, alright. Oh, he's done me. Ah, yeah. I think he was far up, to be honest. No, he's discharged it in the keep net. Well, that's the first thing that we've learned straight away. First fish an F1, second fish a tiny crucian, third fish a barbel. 10's elastic everywhere, trying to dig in. Eventually it's gone for underneath the platform. So we stepped it up, we've gone to a 12s. Hopefully that will stop them charging towards the keep net, but they know exactly where they want to get. Like I say, if that had been my first visit on a match, I'd have still set up that 10's elastic and away I'd have gone. Start of the match I'd have been setting up again. First little lesson learned, onto a 12s. Well, I've just come off that short line. We've picked up a few early fish, but I've been throwing casters. Like I said, I was going to keep doing to that 6 metres. I've gone out straight away. A lovely little hide. So there's lots of these in here. So what we learnt on that short line was elastic choice was wrong. Should have stepped it up initially from the start. Thought it was right after we had a couple of F1s and the little crucian, but once those barbel arrived, they obviously know exactly where they want to be. They want to be diving in towards these stagings, towards the nets. So if I just take out my finger, so you don't want them diving underneath, you don't want them charging around everywhere. Swap the elastic over. Next one we hooked had full control of him, so we've sorted that elastic out. I always thought that'd be an early or a late line anyway, just picking up, but I'm going to keep feeding it. We're just throwing literally 6 to 8 casters at 6 metres, just grabbing a pinch of them, just launching them into that same area. Let's see if we can build a way to these fish shallow. I will have a look over this line eventually. If we go down, see if there's some bigger fish there, but that might be the case, that it could just be a shallow approach and margins, maybe some more short fish later on. Yeah, so that was just a little bit deeper. Thought the bites had slowed up. They followed the caster down, there's another hide. That's the thing, just little depth changes. They're beautiful fish though, and serious weight builders. You're topping these up with F1s and barbel. A lovely fish. Maggots. Again, I think that's another reason why natural baits are scoring. Things like banded pellets. Because the quicker you can get back in the water, when you're chasing weights in excess of £100, the better. Just a few casters, flip the rig over so that bait falls through with everything else that's falling in. There's a bite straight away. Yeah, they're definitely a little bit deeper. We've been fishing shallow now for probably 10 or 15 minutes. We've caught 10 hide or so. We're getting lots of daft little finicky touches now. So what we're going to do, I think they're smaller fish, I'm just going to swap it over to a bit of a different shallow rig with a hair and a band on, and just see if we can connect with whatever it is that's taking it. I mean, there's a couple of little fish that I've connected with and they've popped up, so it looks like the hide have just backed off a little because they are a little scatty fish. Just swap over. I'll just put a little hair rig maggot on. Perfect, he's a little bander. Open it up, get a dead maggot. Better to just stun these on the day, because if you put frozen ones on, they're a bit soggy, come out the band. The way they sit, it just falls down and wafts down as if it was a caster. Let's just see if that's going to make a difference, and see if we can connect with them fish, trying to find them at a different depth. There's one. That seems like it could be an F1 as well. So that's little subtle changes, just that change over to that hair rig maggot. We've been missing daft little touches, and that one's nailed it straight away, so that's another thing that we've picked up. This could be an F1. Feels that way. That could be another reason why that the hide have backed off. Some F1s have come in just to bully them away. Fish do pull a bit in here. Real healthy fish. Yep, little F1, fantastic. Baits that stay on when you're trying to catch fish at speed, that's ready. I could go straight back out with that again now. One F1 in, straight back out, hopefully we can get another. We're just going to keep altering depths. That's the thing when you're shallow fishing, they don't always stay at one depth. You just keep trying finding the fish, find that optimum depth where they want to be fed. See if we can find them a little bit deeper again. That's what these little practice sessions are all about. There's a fish straight away. See, they've gone slightly deeper, following the bait down. There's an eye straight away. You catch these all day. Oh, as we say that, it's off. Smash me banded maggot as well.
So what have you learned from that?
What have I learned from that fish coming off?
Yeah.
You should eat it better. You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
You know what I mean? He's getting fed for nothing. He's getting fed for nothing. If we don't want to get it all the way down, just in his top lip, it ain't my fault. Oof, another one. Another bite a little bit deeper.
Didn't eat it properly though.
No, didn't eat it properly. A lot of these fishes in these fisheries are still just waking up. There's one, down deeper again. They're just waking up. I mean, I could probably get away with fishing a much bigger hook. I mean, there's an 18, well, an 18 on this one. No, sorry, a 20. There's an 18 on the other rig. I could probably get away with fishing much bigger because come September, when they've been caught a lot more and they've been paggered, they're a little bit more wary, but when they've just woken up, you can get away with fishing slightly bigger hooks. See, like that one, he was grateful. A lovely fish. Let's just have a quick look at the rig that we're using for this shallow fishing. Picked up quite a few fish in a short space of time. Just keep feeding it while we're doing it. My favourite shallow float at present, dobber. Inline through the body with an eye. All balsa with a little stubby tip. I've actually cut these down a little, taking about 1 inch off the stem because I want to get up higher in the surface water. I'll get right up into the upper layers. That's an 014 mainline again, power micron. This time it's an 011.5 bottom, 6 inch hook length. During a session I might want to shorten that to a 3 inch one. See how this practice goes, see how we carry on. Hook's a 20s rigger with a little band. This rig, like I say, is just for fishing. If you want to fish with a banded pellet, a banded caster, but I like fishing that banded dead red. The other shallow rig is exactly the same, only difference is the hook is an 18s CARP bagger, so I can fish like double maggot or double caster or a wormhead if I wanted to as such. But that covers pretty much all of that shallow fishing. I've got a rig for on the deck over there, but at the minute there's been plenty of odd and odd F1s being caught just on those two rigs. Moving up and down through the layers of the water. Tried it 6, 12, but at the minute best part of 24 inches about best. Maybe probably go a little bit deeper. They come quite close under the pole tip. I really needed to put too much lash to the top of the float, and they've built up a little bit of confidence, and that's with cameras and that around in the water. So here's a little tip when you're fishing with the dead reds. I see lots of people either freeze them. If you freeze the dead reds for that method, they're just too soggy. They slip in and out the band and they don't stick around as much. And I see lots of anglers when they're on the pegs, they like want to turn themselves into the Pete Tonga fishing, do a tour of all the venues in the country, grab themselves a maggot, get themselves down, get everything down in the mix, working it well. You don't really need to do that. Just get yourself, apart from bursting maggots all over your lovely Gore-Tex, just get yourself a few maggots in your hands and just rub them together. Stuns them, kills them all out. No more Pete Tong on tour. crispy duck and Coarse light for tea. Well, a quick change in that shallow rig as well, like we're practicing away as we should be. Got a little bit of a swap. I noticed I was getting lots of daft little bites and missing lots of touches. I just thought to myself, I've pulled out of a couple of fish. There was lots of activity. I thought I'll just see what I can push it with the hook size. Stepped it up to a 14s, 3 dead reds. Changed it on the standard rig, so in case, because I didn't want to take off the band straight away, took it to a 14s, and like I said, this time of year when they're just waking up, you can get away with being just that little bit more adventurous because they've not been caught as much as in later in the year. And we've ended up, let's just clean them up a little. Oh my darling, Billy Barbel, beautiful fish. I lost one similar to this first chuck on that short line. How about that? Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But then again, ringing the changes, sorting things out, that's what all these practice sessions are about. Let's get back out of a couple more chucks. I've seen some fish moving in the margins, I've just been feeding that. But that little change brought a real run of fish. That bigger bait, more visible, bigger hook, switched away from the hide. I had a run of 6 or 7 F1s, lost a good carp that was just foul hooked, then took that barbel shallow. Well, the shallow fish have continued to come, but there's been a lot of fish moving down in that margin. We've rang the changes, we've sorted out what hook sizes we can get away with and where the depths are best, and there's another hide to finish off with. I could easily stay there, but I need to find out exactly what I need to be doing in the margins. So we're going to put this shallow fishing away. I'll keep feeding it, same as I am with the short line. We're going to have a look now down by the margins and see what we can sort out. Right then, we've had a real good run of fish down that margin. That big pot of bait that we put in really did settle the fish down. There's a few tactical changes, went from a bulk to a spread bulk, went and tried a shallow rig, even tried some dead maggots over the 6mm pellets, pure and simply because there's only a 5-point limit at Weston Pools, and if I were to use ground bait, which would have been a preferred option, using with dead maggots, then it would have had to come out my 5-point limit. So really trying to sort out how much you're going to feed on certain lines is going to be the key to doing well on this venue. In the end, hard pellets over 6mm, they're still swirling there now. I've caught tench, caught some carp, caught some F1s. I could have easily stayed on any one of the lines that I've caught fish on today and caught excess of hundreds of pounds, but it wasn't about that. It was about finding out what works best there, short, down the margins, ready for a match situation. So this was the margin rig. 12s hollow elastic, 016 main line to an 014 hook length. It's a 0.3 Series 7 float. Because of the size of the fish in the venue, I mean the average stamp have been £1.5 pound, some fish smaller. There's lots of places for them to swim away. I ain't used the big robust poly strung bodied float. It's just nice refined margin fishing. These floats are perfect for it. And the hook that I used was an 18s rigger with a band. Again, a bulk pattern, 6 inches from the hook. Certain times if I felt like they wanted to nail it even more, I'd basically shorten that hook length, put a 3-inch one on, push that bulk down. I fished it in a strung out pattern as well, because like I said, at the one point the fish were lifting off bottom and they were moving around. I picked a few fish up just with a separated bulk and lowering that rigging nice and slow. Sometimes the elastics just come out actually, just holding it and controlling it, and it's just dragged away with it. And basically that's the dead simple margin fishing. That big pot was what settled them down. I'm just a little unsure if I was to fish it in a match situation, would I do it with 6s or would I do it with 4s? It's just hard with a 5-point quota. We've done well on 6s, but I think I'd probably tend to lean towards a 4mm. I'm going to have me a few more casts now, just before it gets too dark. See if we can get a few more. So that's the end of today's practice. What have we learnt? First thing that was most important, I was definitely undergunned when I started on that 10s elastic on the short line and on the long line, to be fair. And those bigger fish, those barbel and that stamp of fish normally on most venues you fish, you could take like easily tame with that elastic. But these fish are quite clever. They want to dive in, they know where the snags are, they know where that pallet is, and they're charging straight in straight away. Switching to the 12, total of difference. Everything was under control straight away. So that is what will be set up on all those swims when fishing down, when I come back to fish a match. What we learn about hook sizes, well, when we're fishing shallow we're losing or missing lots of bites. This time of year, like I said, fish haven't really been caught that much. They're not long woken up from a winter, they haven't taken so much punishment, and they're not quite as wary as they are during like the later times of autumn. So I could definitely get away with fishing a lot bigger hooks than what I started with. I started on 20s and 18s. In the end I switched it over to a 14s and it converted bites straight away. Put the 3 dead reds on, it went from catching hide to catching F1, so that made a big difference. Margins, this is one thing that still does concern me a little bit because of the bait limits. I went down to the one margin with pellets, casters and maggots to the other. The casters and maggots side of it's fine. I can pick up barbel, I can pick up F1s and odd small fish. But the other side where the carp were, I think I'll be very careful with the limits. Ideally I'd like to feed ground bait there, but if I feed ground bait that's going to come out the 5-point limit. So I've got to stick with some pellets. So I think next time I'll probably fish with 4mm, because there'll be more 4mm to the bag and, well, basically to a point, which I'd probably take to the peg. And I think we're better off doing that. The big thing that made a difference on that line was to get them to settle down. It did take quite a big pot. Again, that's what I'm saying. It is quite bothering me a bit that that's basically a big portion out your quota. If you've got to put a big pot in every time to make them settle. But it could be different on the day with the pressure. And again today, we've caught fish on that short line and in the margins and at 6 metres with the cameraman in the water, over the shoulder, lots of skylining, so it shows that they're still confident enough to come close. So in a match situation, perhaps I won't need to feed so much. All in all, we've had a fantastic practice at Weston Pools. What can I say? First of many visits. I've already booked in for the weekend and I can't wait to come back. It's a fantastic fishery run by lovely people. Now I'm just going to enjoy this nice drink and I'll see you again next time on another practice. Cheers. Do us a favour, mate, just put that camera off and I'll get me some scratchings. If you want to watch more Matrix videos, click here. If you want to subscribe to the Matrix channel, click here.